What is your understanding of the timing on votes to keep the government funded?
Well, John, it's good to see you and good to be back on the show. And what we are hearing from the Senate is that their vote is imminent on the continuing resolution, which is what will be the temporary budget to prevent a shutdown. And I can tell you that House Democrats are ready to play the role that we have had to play since the majority took over, and that is of being the adults in the room, putting the American people first, and preventing a shutdown. It's what we did in the manufactured debt ceiling crisis back in June. We did it in October, we did it in November, and we stand ready to do it today.
So that vote in the Senate could happen shortly, which means in the House maybe by tonight. Is this a feel-good moment, Congress fending off a government shutdown?
There is nothing feel-good about this. We have had this agreement in place since June, where we took a bipartisan vote coming out of negotiations with the president and then Speaker McCarthy when the Republicans held our economy hostage over the debt ceiling. They used that hostage taking to extort this deal. We agreed to it. And ever since then, they have put their own internal chaos, their quest for power, their quest to turn the Capitol and the business we should be focused on here in Congress into a campaign arm for Donald Trump, instead of fulfilling this most basic requirement of having a federal budget. And what's at stake again is another shutdown that is bad for small businesses, bad for veterans, bad for federal employees. This is such a core obligation of Congress. The fact that we are here again just speaks to the chaos and division on the other side of the aisle.
You just mentioned as a campaign platform for Donald Trump here. We heard yesterday from House Speaker Mike Johnson that he is consulting with Donald Trump on the issue of border negotiations. These negotiations are largely happening in the Senate right now, but House Speaker Mike Johnson, who over the weekend reportedly said that whatever bipartisan agreement comes from the Senate is dead on arrival in the House, has said he's talking to Donald Trump about this. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, it's absolutely no surprise. Donald Trump and MAGA extremism has taken over the House Republican Party, and this is what we get. We are in divided government. We need to come together in a bipartisan way to create solutions for the American people. And the border and border security is one of the most pressing issues that we are facing as a country. So this rejection of any kind of bipartisan coming together to meet this need, address this crisis, is at odds with exactly why we're sent to Congress, to do the people's work. And national security is at the top of those responsibilities. And we have seen this president, the Biden-Harris administration, coming to the table, working in a bipartisan way in the Senate to create solutions, as the president has done around the border since the first day of his presidency. And this rejection, before even seeing a deal, just speaks to where the House GOP is. They are fighting amongst themselves, and they have forgotten the American people and what they are asking us to do, which is help them lower the cost of health care, help them address gun violence, help them secure our borders.
I do want to ask you, you were talking about what the president has done on immigration, because right here on the show just a few days ago, I heard from a Democratic member of the House, Vicente Gonzalez. Listen to what he said.
The president needs to do a whole lot more. We need to raise credit standards. We need to do more on the southern border.
Are you saying the administration's not getting the job done?
I don't think this administration or the past administration have done enough on our southern border.
So what do you say to that criticism, and how far would you be willing to go in terms of changing asylum laws?
Here's what I'm going to say is that the administration has acknowledged, as have all House Democrats, that we have a broken immigration system. And what we have seen also at the same time as the administration put forward their different proposals, let's just look at the budget at the end of last year, where the administration, working with Democrats, put forward hundreds of millions of dollars in technology to help us address and stop the flow of fentanyl that we know comes through our ports. That's where fentanyl comes through. Not a single Republican vote. And we fast forward to today, where the administration is in discussions about issues around asylum, around setting up the ability to process people in their home countries. They are willing to come together to address this crisis. And what we are seeing are comments from the Speaker that if it is about bipartisanship, they are not interested. In fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that bipartisanship alone, this was her quote, would mean she would be open to moving forward with a motion to vacate. That's where they are.
Would you be willing,
about finding solutions?
Would you personally be willing to vote for a bipartisan agreement that raises the credible fear standard, which is what we just heard from your Democratic colleague, Vicente Gonzalez?
I think that our caucus is open to looking at all sorts of changes that we could do to increase security. We are waiting to see text. I'm not going to get ahead of our caucus on any specific proposal, but we are here meeting with solutions. We have bipartisan bills we put forward. We have bills that we are working on, to gather support from around our caucus. We are open to ideas that promote national security. But let's look at the situation we have, John. We have House Republicans who are saying, first, we're going to hold up funding for Ukraine, for humanitarian aid, for national security, for border security. And when the administration says, okay, I'll come forward and work with you to get to a solution, they preempt that in the House and say, whatever solution you come up with is going to be bipartisan, and we tap out. That is where they are. And that is really a dangerous place, not just to put our politics, but to put the security of the American people in.
It's already upsetting Republicans in the Senate as well. Congresswoman Katherine Clark from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Go Celtics. Thanks for being with us. Rahel?
Go Celtics.